Wade back here with you, High Noon Leatherworks, for another leather adventure. And today we're going to start a new project. It's going to be one film, one project. So we'll go from start to finish today. A quick little project that I thought would be really neat to have and really neat to use. So come on in and let's get started. Alright, so I had a fly swatter, just one of these plastic fly swatters that I had down at my cabin, and I was swatting around on some spiders and some moths and this and that, and broke it. So I thought, you know what, I need to put a leather fly swatter on this handle. So that's what we're going to attempt to do today, and we'll see how that turns out. What I want to do is try to do it with some rivets, and I'm going to use some contact cement, and we'll make this as quick as possible. We'll see, I'm using some chrome tan leather, and it's probably about 5 or 6 ounce leather, so it's got a little give to it, so it should make it nice and pliable for a fly swatter. So what I did was I took the broken one and made me a pattern off of the broken one. Then you notice how this has grooves through it. Well, on mine, I just took it and drew some lines, started through the center, and then came diagonal on each side, and then punched holes in it down those lines about every half an inch, and then transferred that to my leather. And then I took the top part here and cut that out and made that a separate piece, and that's what's going to lay over the top. So that's what will be contact cemented, and then actually we'll put rivets in that, and that's what's going to hold this thing onto that handle, hopefully. So I'm going to set that aside. I'm going to get my poly cutting board here, and well, before I do that, let me go ahead and cut this out real quick. I'm just going to follow those lines that I drew on there from my pattern. And again, this is chrome tan, probably 5 to 6 ounce. And obviously this is, being a fly swatter, or a leather bug zapper, as I like to call it. It's not going to have to be a showpiece or anything, but I do want it to look good. This chrome tan leather is pre-dyed, and it came from Kentucky Leather and Hides, and check them out on KentuckyLeatherandHides.com. They have all kinds of stuff that you would need to do projects, and great people, super nice people. So check them out when you get a chance. So there's that piece. And then I'll cut out the small piece that goes on top that I'm going to glue on there. I'm sorry if I got my hand in the way sometimes. I get engrossed in what I'm doing and don't think about having my hand in the way of the camera. So there's the top piece. We can set that scrap piece aside. So I've got this piece that goes on top, and that will get attached to this piece. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my poly cutting board, take my small punch, and this is 1/8 punch. It's the same one I use for my rivets also, and I'm going to go to each one of these marks that I have in here. And again, this is not super thick leather, so if I've got a decent punch, I can hit that one time with my mallet and it goes right through. I just love these poly boards, and I've picked up several of them, which if you watch in my older videos, you've seen I've picked up several of them at dollar stores. This summer I've been lucky enough to pick up 2 or 3 from garage sales, and when people use them and they get those cut marks, knife marks in them, you know, they'll sell them at a garage sale for like $1/4, and they work just absolutely perfect for this, and it doesn't matter whether they have cut marks in them or not. So it doesn't seem to dull my punches, which is great. So my punches are still nice and sharp. And what's nice is when you give $1 or 50 cents for these, and this one's lasted a year, and I'm still using it, but if it breaks or cracks or just gets to the point where it's just super tore up, you just throw it in the trash and grab another one out of your stash that you gave 50 cents or $1 for, and you move on. So pretty handy. I'm going to clean this punch out real quick. Get me a nice fresh start. I'm over halfway done now, so and it's like anything else when you do that, once you get a rhythm going, you can move pretty quick. And on the pattern, I used the same punch for those holes in the pattern. So what that does is when I transfer that with an ink pen onto my leather, that makes the round circle on my leather smaller because the ink pen's going to the inside of those holes on the pattern. So when I punch it, and I'll show you that, when I punch it onto my leather, it gets rid of all the hole or all the ink marks. so it's not left with any ink marks on there. Alright, the next thing I need to do is put my top piece on and put my handle in there. Get everything out of my way. I want to put my handle right in the center. And then I need to mark where I want my rivets to go. I believe I'm going to put one on each side. I think I'm going to put one on each side and then two in the middle right here where that goes together. So I'm going to put one on this side, and one here and one here to hold this in. So let's put that back in there and let's see what I got going on as far as where I need to put those. Let me get my pen so I can mark them. And see if I could get that a little closer to the camera here. Room on my workbench to move everything. Alright. So I'm going to put one on the left hand side, and I'm just eyeballing this. I'm not measuring it or anything. Put one on the right hand side, and then I'm going to put two in the middle here. Put one there and one there. This should be interesting to see how this works out. Move that handle out of the way. Punch my holes for my rivets. And I'll show you what that looks like. There's one on each side, two in the middle, and then what I'll do is I'll lay that on top of my larger piece, and I'll use that as my pattern to put my holes in the bottom piece here. And that way they match up perfect. Get some of those pieces that came out of there. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to do is take my contact cement and I did draw a line on here so I knew where to stay within. I didn't want to get outside of that line with my cement. So we want this to come down to that line, and we want it to start to dry before we attach those pieces together. So you can see where I took that, and you can see how dark it is, where I took that all the way to the line. And then I'll take this piece and just turn it over. I'll take up any that I got on the poly board there, and I'll do this side of the small piece. And that I'll just do to the edge because we know it's going to match up to the other side. And I'll just spread that out over that entire back of that. Put my lid on there snug. And then while that's drying, and you can see in the thinner areas it's really starting to dry pretty good. We'll go ahead and get the sets of rivets that we need, and also we'll get our setter out, our little anvil, and I'm using these little I think they're 5/16 rivets. So I'm gonna need 1, 2, 4 of the studs, and then 4 caps. So there's the pieces that I'm going to need. And then I've got my setter and my anvil. And then I'm just going to set this back in my supply area, get it out of my way. And then this is, you can see, I hope, yeah, you can see where that's starting, where it's dulling out. It's starting to dry. So as soon as that kind of gets dull all the way across, then that kind of tells me that's time for me to put this thing together. So as soon as that gets dull, I'll be back. Alright, so we've got this. It's 98 to 99% dull or dry to the touch. So now we can go ahead and apply these two pieces together with my handle. So I'm going to place my handle in here. Put my top piece on, and I'm going to push that down so it comes in contact with the back piece. And I can tap that down with my mallet. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep pushing down on that center piece where those meet, and that's where I'm going to start. So I'm going to put my rivet on my anvil, put my caps over here, and I'm going to put that through one of those center holes. Like I said, I've never done this before, so I don't know whether it matters. I don't think it matters which center hole I do first. Get my setter and set that first rivet. Take my second rivet, go through the other hole in the center, put that on my anvil, put my cap on, and set that one. So there's the first two that are in the center. That's going to keep this handle from sliding out by putting those in the center. Now I can put the ones on the outside, and that's going to keep that top piece anchored really well to that bottom piece of leather. And you know, you can buy like at Walmart or someplace like that, you can buy 2 of these plastic fly swatters for like $1 or something, and just cut the plastic off and make leather fly swatters. Sell them at craft fairs or shows, or make them as gifts. Be very inexpensive to do. And as you can see, this is real time. Doesn't take very long. And then all I'm going to do is move this stuff out of the way, turn it over, tap that side real good with my mallet so that my contact cement makes great contact. And there's what it looks like. So I've got my 2 rivets in the center and then 1 on each side of that piece to hold that in there. So it works really well. With those holes in there, that really lets you get some air through it. Now, I thought about doing something like this with the handle, making it out of a clothes hanger, but I'm not sure if this metal feels a little springier than a clothes hanger. I'm afraid if you used a clothes hanger and you gave it a good smack, I'm afraid maybe it'll bend. So this one doesn't seem to bend. It seems to keep its shape. So that's a quick little project. It stays together real nice. The leather stays nice and pliable, and you're not going to have to worry about it breaking like plastic for sure. Alright, so there's another project in the books. Quick, simple, cheap. Probably don't have 50 cents worth of leather here. Cut it out of a scrap piece that I had left. You could see that it doesn't take very much leather to do that. The handle, again, I took off of a plastic fly swatter that I had broken anyway. I would have just thrown that in the trash. So I thought, why not make a leather fly swatter? And you can make any pattern that you wanted to here. You could actually make these holes in a pattern of artwork if you wanted, so that it would have artwork on there. So you could do anything. It's limitless. But the nice thing is, it makes a great fly swatter. So sturdy, very sturdy. And with the contact cement on there and the rivets, I don't think I'm going to have any trouble with this one breaking or coming apart. And it'll probably last a long, long time. So thanks for coming along. Thanks for watching the videos. If you haven't yet, please hit that subscribe button. If you have, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And as I always say, please like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you next time.